favorite topics. And you're going to notice we're dressed a little bit differently today. That is because we're chatting all about Bookish Cosplay. So if you are a fan of Bookish Cosplay, jump into those comments, let us know. We're really excited to be hanging out with you. And if you happen to be on our replay, we would love to hear from you too. If you've ever dressed in Bookish Cosplay, go ahead and let us know who you cosplayed. And if you've got some tips for creating really great book character costumes, we want to hear from you today. We've got some incredible people with us today giving us some fabulous tips, showing us the behind the scenes and the ropes of how to do Bookish Cosplay here on Young Adult Edition. I'm going to be meeting them in just a couple of minutes. But before we get there, ladies, how are you doing today? I am joined by my fabulous co-hosts, Elle Beaumont and Amber Ardul. Elle, what's going on?
I am so excited for today. I mean, you ladies know why, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I'm doing fairly well for it being a Monday. How about you?
Amber, how you doing?
I am coming off a massive illness, so I feel alive, if that counts.
Sure, that counts. That totally counts. I get that. I am struggling with my voice just a little bit because I had an allergic reaction to something. So guys, bear with me with my weird voice today. But we're really excited because we are all dressed up and ready to go and doing all of the fun, fabulous things today on our Bookish Cosplay episode. So before we dive in, let's talk about who we are dressed as. And then, well, actually, let me backtrack. We should do Book World News first and our new releases. And then we'll talk about who we are dressed as. If you have guesses on who we are dressed up as today, go ahead and let us know down in the comments. But first, let's get to our Book World News. Elle, speak to us.
So I am super excited for this because it was one of my favorite movies growing up and also one of my favorite books. The Secret Garden is actually being redone, and it will be coming out April of 2020, and it looks magical. Honest to goodness, the trailer is available right now. Do yourself a favor, guys, and check out the trailer because it transforms this already magical world into something that is actually kind of magical. So check that out.
Yeah, I checked out the trailer last night. It looks really interesting. Have you seen it, Amber?
No, not yet.
Oh, Amber's behind today. That's okay.
Yeah, like it wasn't a magical, it was magical in the sense that it didn't have magic in it. And this movie actually kind of makes it look like there are dregs of magic in it. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit of a twist on the typical version that we know. So I'm really excited to see what they do with it. Speaking of things we're excited for, more Book World news. If you guys know, this week, something really cool is happening in the book world and in the general world. New York Comic-Con is taking place, and I will be there to sign books Thursday and Sunday. I'm so excited for this one. We've got all sorts of fabulous things going on, so make sure you come check it out. If you have tickets, if you're joining me at any point, I would love to see you. Let us know in the comments if you are coming. And if you let me know in advance, I might just bring a little surprise for you. I'm just saying. So we hope to see you there. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. I really think it's going to be a lot of fun. We just came off of PenCon 2019 and going right into New York Comic Con 2019, so we will have lots of fun to share with you when we get back. Speaking of things we need to share with you, we do have some really cool new book releases coming out this week, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have in store for this week in terms of new book releases.
Wow, okay. Look at all that.
Right? There's a ton of books out this week. Every single week, the QD Bibliophile, the Quick and Dirty Bibliophile, sends us the latest releases in the world of a young adult, but she also drops new releases in several other genres as well. So if you're a fan of new books, she is the lady for you. Go check out at the QD Bibliophile over on Instagram and Facebook and let her know that we sent you from Young Adult Edition. And we have to give a quick shout out to some Young Adult Edition friends here. Melanie Gilbert has a brand new book coming out this week. It is her Beauty and the Beast retelling called Enchanted. Make sure you guys check that out as well. And it looks like Veronica Roth has a brand new book out this week too. So let us know in the comments which of these books are you most excited for. And make sure you go over and give the QD Bibliophile a like on Instagram and Facebook as well. All right, so let's dive into today's episode. And let's talk about what we're dressed as before we bring on our guests today. So, Amber, what do you have for us?
I am Audrey Rose from Talking Jack the Ripper, or just a circle. Yay.
Oh, it's Monday. Elle, who are you dressed as?
So I am actually dressed as Alyssa from the Splintered series by A.G.Howard. She has an amazing sense of fashion, which is basically if you can dream it up, or whatever is in your wardrobe, you can wear it and you're going to be fine, because she doesn't necessarily match and she does as she pleases with her wardrobe, and she always usually wears gloves.
I love it. Fantastic. And if you guys couldn't tell by the braid and the leather, Katniss from the Hunger Games. Pretty easy costume to do, but I'm very excited because I have done some other fun photo shoots where I've portrayed Effie Trinket. So now I get to be Katniss. I'm very excited for this one. So guys, let us know, who is your all-time favorite character to cosplay? Or if you haven't cosplayed before, let us know, who would you absolutely love to cosplay if money wasn't an object? What would you do? Who would you dress as? Let us know which YA character you would love to bookishly cosplay, because we want to hear from you guys. We want to get some inspiration for the next time we dress up for Instagram. Oh, yes. You can expect pictures on Instagram later. I'm just saying, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right. Well, we are excited, guys, because we have some fantastic ladies joining us today for our Bookish Cosplay. We are going to introduce them in just a second. We have to pull them up one at a time because you guys know we can only have 4 people on screen at any given time. So let me go ahead and grab my buttons here as we bring on Victoria. Victoria, how are you? Oh, we are.
Hey.
There we go.
Oh,
I've unmuted you. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you,
everybody?
doing?
I am awesome. Having a great day already here in St. Louis. Beautiful day, sunny, all ready to go to show you all my goodies and talk about cosplay. I love cosplay and I love books and cosplay together. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited to see you again. Amber and I actually had the pleasure of meeting you at PenCon 2019. You were actually right behind us, so we spent the entire event chatting when we weren't signing books, which was a lot of fun. And I'm very excited about this hat. Can you tell us what you're wearing today?
Yes. I'm mostly a steampunk author, so this is actually lightly based on one of my steampunk characters, a countess, and she is actually developed from somebody in my real life. My great-great-grandmother was a Polish countess that came over to America during the Victorian era. So I based that character on her, and of course with steampunk, everything's outrageous, and I've got we're going to talk later about things you can do to make things easier to cosplay. These little lamps here are actually curtain holders, but they come apart so you can put LED lights in them. So yeah, and they were very inexpensive. I think like a couple bucks from one of the dollar stores. So yeah, that's my character today as my own countess, but highly inspired by other, steampunk characters from books like Mortal Engines and other steampunk favorite novels of mine. So
that's fantastic. I love it. We're super excited to have you here today. We're also super excited because we have Nicole with us as well. We're bringing her up right now. Nicole, how are you?
Me.
I had you muted. You're unmuted now. Say that one more time.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you here. So tell us, what are you dressed as today?
I am dressed in what I still have of my Camp Half-Blood Annabeth Chase outfit, and then my favorite. It's like bits and pieces from some of my favorite ones, and then Luna Lovegood. So.
Love it. Fantastic. So we are incredibly excited today because we are talking all about Bookish Cosplay. Danielle is joining us. Good morning. We are excited to see you. We're thrilled for all of you joining us. And if you are here live, we would love to get your questions answered in real time. So go ahead and drop those for us. We're talking all about Bookish Cosplay today. But if you're on our replay, we want to hear from you too. Go ahead and jump down into those comments and let us know what your questions and your comments are, because we will be monitoring them over the next couple of days and weeks, and we would love to chat with you. So feel free to let us know, who is the coolest book character that you would like to cosplay if you didn't have any money restrictions and could create anything in the world without having to suffer from a lack of creativity. Who would you want to be? Let us know in the comments below so we can celebrate with you as well. All right, we're diving in to talk all about tips and tricks for bookish cosplay today. Really excited for this one because we've got a lot of cool stuff going on. And the first thing I want to chat about is how we actually go about picking our costumes. So when we kind of start to decide that we want to get into bookish cosplay, how do you ladies go about picking the things, the characters, the costumes that you are going to use? Nicole, let's go to you first.
And this is gonna sound terrible, but I try to pick something that I'm not gonna have to wear a wig for. I'm terrible with wigs. I've tried. I don't have the magic touch when it comes to that. So I try to pick a character that I'm not gonna have to fool with a wig for.
Well, they get hot too, you know? Like, it's just...
you can't, like, scratch it without the whole thing, you know? So that generally is I look at that first, and if it's like, oh, I'm gonna have to wear a wig for that, I'm like, maybe something else. But and then I really like I love to make armor. I love to make that kind of stuff. So anything that I can get creative with and kind of put my own spin on a little bit, those are my favorite ones.
I love that. I want to come back to talking about armor in a little bit because I want to learn how to make that.
Definitely.
Victoria, how do you go about picking your bookish costumes?
You know, I like to go through, and there's certain books, you know, you read and they just capture you. I mean, you're so enthralled in this book. So I try and pick things that, like, you know, I could really walk in that person's shoes. You know, I'm thinking, oh man, your mind goes to places where it's never been before, or it's been before, but you want to go back many times because you just really enjoy doing that, you know, reading that book. So, and it's funny because you chose Katniss today, because that's one of those that I really, really wanted to play. And I did that for Halloween a few years ago. And I did the same thing, you know, I was like, how am I going to wear the hair? Which version of Katniss is I'm going to be?
I know.
You know, so it's hard to choose, isn't it? When there's multiple stories and you got like multiple versions, you know, volumes, you're like, okay, which version am I going to be? And
I literally did that this morning. I went through, I'm like, am I going to wear a dress? Am I going to wear the leather? What am I going to do? So I went with classic, but it's so hard.
It is. And then sometimes you want to be the villain too. And I've done an Effie trinket before too. And, you know, you go through the wig section, you know, of your costume store, or if you go to a wig shop and you're like, oh, that's so Effie, and it'll be like a massive wig, and then you think, okay, how hot am I gonna, again, back to hot, how hot am I gonna be under that wig, you know?
I think that's a very valid point. Like, just a pro tip for everybody here: when you're choosing your costume, be aware of the setting you're going to be in, because if you're going to die of heat exhaustion, like, that's going to be a problem. Think that through as you are going with that.
Absolutely.
Donna is here, and she says, I dressed up as Steampunk Mad Hatter for Halloween a couple of years ago. That's awesome. I would love to see pictures of that. Drop those in the comments, girl. Danielle is saying Katniss would be fun to do, right? Katniss is a fun one to do. I'm a big fan of this. For me, when it comes to creating my costumes, I'm a big fan of what I can create myself. So you guys know I'm a photographer, and I love to create dresses and big, flowy, fun things for my photo shoots. I do a lot of self-portrait work and stuff with my models. So if I can create it myself in a unique way, that's what I tend to lean toward. But also there are like the staple characters like Katniss that everybody recognizes. So it kind of comes down to what I feel like at that point and what I can get really creative with. Elle, how about you?
That's a tricky question. I usually pull from the books that I love the most. You know, like, I love Alice in Wonderland. There's so much stuff that you can do with Alice in Wonderland. And in this version, it's kind of like Tim Burton-esque. So there's so much to work with that. You know, like, you can pull from the villain, you can pull from the hot leading male character. You know, there's got fairies and these hybrid creatures. So it's like, honestly, I usually go for something that, like you said, Victoria, it's something that speaks to you in the books, a character, or even like a background character that maybe not be represented so well, and you're like, oh, that person really spoke to me. I want to dress up as them. So, but Amber, what about you?
I first have to like the character, and then second, what is it going to be easy to create? Because I'm a lazy bum. I made this jacket. That's about all I did for this.
Lazy bum. But honestly, like that really is one of the things too. Like whatever's going to be easiest. Like, I'm not one of those that goes like above and beyond to get like these huge costumes. Like I would love to, if budget and time, like I have 2 little kids. If that wasn't an issue, I would definitely be in like these huge, like Effie trinket costumes and stuff like that. But I have kids and I'm like, I'm tired.
Well, my kids are trying to help me make this, and I'm like, would you just go away?
Exactly. So this is going to lead into how do you begin your research for your costume? Like what goes into researching your costume? And why don't we start with you, Amber?
I looked at fan art, and then I just went and found a pattern, and ta-da.
Nicole, how about you?
Lots of YouTube, lots of tutorials. I'm not a great seamstress, but I have very fortunate to have friends that can kind of help me. And sometimes if I'm just terrible at it, they're just like, just let me do it. And that helps. But watching lots. There's so many great videos, tutorials out there now for the things that you like. You have it in your mind, but you're not sure how to make it real. Well, somebody can tell you or help you or give you suggestions and soundboard for you. So I do that. Of course, fan art, I feel like every fandom has these canonized artists, right, who have captured the essence of those characters. And I always think of Furia for Percy Jackson. Like, I mean, her characters are what you think of. And so, sorry, Rick, but they are. And so obviously I always gravitate towards that too, because it kind of helps you visualize, unless you have a concept in your head, in which case go for it. But yeah.
Absolutely. Victoria, how about you?
Well, I always think of, okay, we talked about budget and like what you have on hand and what craziness you have going around. And so you get your spark from your book and inspiration. Then I think, and you got your budget or what have you. But sometimes I'll try and sketch something out first, and then I love, again, a lot of people talk about, again, thrift stores and like, what do I have around the house that I could take apart? And we always joke again about taking like your bed sheets or curtains or things that are really old, especially if I always tell, I do a lot of costuming, on the side. It's along with my steampunk stuff. And you're always like, I always hit that like section of anything that's marked down, the markdown section, the clearance section of any craft store or thrift store, because you always and again, you can go back to like Carol Burnett dragging the curtains down to do Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
So the old like classic TV episode, and so it's ways you can do things really inexpensively, but it always looks amazing. I did Marie Antoinette a few years ago, and I actually tore apart, again, you go back to old dresses and things you can get rid of, and an old bridesmaid's dress. And I was like, I'm never wearing this again. It's pink, but boy, this is going to look great. And I took like silver trash bags and to make like extra pieces from it. So again, I start like planning, like, where can I get stuff for super cheap? It's not going to cost an arm and a leg, but it's still going to look awesome, even though it's not pricey. That's usually where my starting point from there. Yeah.
That is great. I think my research usually begins, well, this morning, this is a last minute, costume here. And I kind of just threw it together. I'm going to post a whole picture later on my Instagram, but I went to Pinterest and I'm like, okay. I also looked at, I'm just going to hold this up. I also looked at the cover and she has the blue moth in her hair, which is, this is kind of like my research. Like, what is something that's going to make sense? I kind of match her lipstick. I've got like, the green eyeshadow beneath the eye and the red on top. So that's kind of like, okay, that relates to the cover art. And then, a lot of authors out there also have Pinterest boards. Pinterest, people, that is a different rabbit hole. But Pinterest, A.G.Howard has amazing Pinterest boards, and I was just flicking through all of her stuff. I have these because I also love steampunk stuff, and this is part of like a steampunk getup that I did. And I also have like these clip-on moths. So it's like my research was Pinterest, the cover art, and just knowing the characters and really going inside of that. So that is that.
Sorry, I was transitioning. Sorry, Elle. Apologies. So there's some really interesting ways that we can be researching how we are creating our costumes, from Pinterest to Google to like what you have around the house that you can tear down and do up in a different way, which I totally love. But if you are joining us, we would love to hear from you guys. Do you have questions for any of our fabulous ladies today on how Bookish Cosplay works? Or do you want to just talk about the Bookish Cosplay that you have done as well? We would love to hear from you. We're really excited to see you. Sarah is here joining us. Excited to see you, girl. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're glad that your phone is working. And if you've got questions, if you've got comments, go ahead and drop those right now, because we're about to get into a rather fun section. Amber?
We're going to take a look at some cosplay photos.
All right. So go ahead and kind of explain what we're looking at. We're going to dive in and talk real quick to Nicole and then Victoria. We're going to bounce back to Nicole because she just sent us some really cool things.
Oh.
So let's go ahead. Tell us what we're looking at here, girl.
So these are 2 cosplay costumes that I created for my book series, The Dragon Rider Legacy. So it's a knight dragon rider, and then the queen, her name is Jenna. And I started, actually, this is like one of the great cliches of all time, and it started on a napkin. I started sketching out. I thought, because I do a lot of school visits, and my husband's usually with me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm like, we need to get you a job for when we're here. Because so I asked him if he would be willing to cosplay. He is so not that kind, but he's a really good sport, and he was like, sure. And so I actually made the knight costume with him as my model, and he goes with me to book signings and takes pictures with the kids and sometimes the adults, because let's face it, a handsome man in armor is kind of hard to walk past without being like, hey, Sophie, So that was why it took me about, oh my goodness, about 4 months, I think, to make those. But that was the suit of armor, the great suit of armor that took so long to make.
Fantastic. We love it. All right, Victoria, we are going to check out your photos. Tell us a little bit about what we're looking at.
Those hats. So gorgeous.
Oh, we might have frozen Victoria. Hold on, guys. Let's find out what's going on here. Victoria, can you hear us? Nope. All right. We're going to put her back down. We'll bring her back up in just a second. But we did see some really cool imagery from Victoria. While I am looking at getting her back up on air, let's see. Victoria, can you hear us?
Nope.
Nope. All right. So she's going to be very shocked. I'm actually going to kick her off and she can come right back in. All right, let's see what happens. So Nicole, while we're doing that, let's jump into your other photos. You sent us some photos of your son doing some really cute cosplay. Guys, are you ready for all the cuteness? I'm so excited for this. Tell us what we're looking at.
So of course the Harry Potter, I can say with certainty he is not a Gryffindor. He is a Slytherin hardcore. But that was a cute one. He was actually, I think he had just turned 1 and no, he was 2. He was just turned 2. And then that same day we did Max from Where the Wild Things Are. And that was a super fun costume. He wore it for Halloween. And people would just stop and take his picture. And then the Jack Frost, I actually made while we were living in Korea, which was hard because you can't just go to Hobby Lobby and buy the things you need. I had to order everything through Amazon. And so I started from scratch. The staff that he's holding is actually made from like one of those Grim Reaper plastic things that I cut up and painted and taped. And I think the hardest things about his costumes are making them durable because he is kind of everywhere. He is very, very much Max from so.
Oh my gosh, he's so adorable. I can't stand it. That is
we're Facebook friends, so I actually got to watch the Jack Frost photos, and you guys know I've got a Jack Frost retelling, so I'm a little bit obsessed with those photos. It's amazing. You did really great work on that one.
yeah.
We do have Victoria back, so I'm going to go ahead and try to pull her back up and see if she can hear us now. Let's see what happens. Victoria, can you hear us? Oh, dear.
Oh, I've lost
can
some
you hear
people.
us?
Sorry. They can't hear me.
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Okay, take 2. All right. Sorry, guys, some technical difficulties today. Amber, I think you are jumping in with our next section. Let's go ahead and do that, and I am going to go off screen and see if I can help Victoria.
All right. We're going to play this or that. I have 4 questions. Just pick one quick. The first one is if it's one character like Katniss that has, dresses and pants, which would you pick, dresses or pants? Nicole?
Depends on the weather, but probably the dress. I like to get fancy when I can.
Yeah. I mean, you're dressing up. You might as well go all out, Elle?
Pants. I'm practical. I am practical. It's like dresses aren't comfortable for me, unfortunately. And I'm all about practicality. I have to chase kids around too. So all about the pants.
I'm going to jump in here because I love this. And Victoria's back and she's able to hear us now. So we're going to pull her up in just a second. For me, I am 100% here for the dresses. Like, I live in dresses. I don't need pants. Pants don't need to exist. Give me all of the dresses, and that makes me really happy, especially if they're like big and flowy and I can throw the skirts. That makes me the happiest.
I like swooshing and feeling like the dress just like swoosh. I feel so fancy.
Oh, you gotta do
Yes,
this.
I agree. The best. I actually have this really cool skirt that I got off of Amazon. It's like a dancing skirt, and so when I move, it really just flips out. Oh, it's amazing, and I love it.
What?
Right?
Okay,
I'll
next.
do the link later.
Okay, we already talked about this kind of, but if you could pick a wig or a hat?
A hat.
Hat.
Hats all around.
Hat. Definitely hat.
Okay, would you rather sew it, make your own, or buy it from somebody? We'll do Nicole and then go straight across the board.
It depends on what it is. If I need a nice dress made that my sewing skills are so terrible, I would much rather pay another artist who's making their living that way and help their business and let them make it instead of me with my liquid stitch trying to put it together. But if it's something like armor or weaponry or gadgetry or I don't know how familiar y'all with manga and anime, but I did a really awesome Rosette Christopher from Chrono Crusade, and I made her little necklace that opens up, and this is when I was 15, and my mom was like, "What are you doing?" But but that stuff, the gadgetry and the weapons and the armor and all of that is my favorite thing to make because it's kind of like a puzzle that you have put together.
I love it.
Oh,
Victoria?
that's awesome. Yeah, it depends on oh gosh. What I am a fan of ripping up prom dresses. Yeah, and so I mean, I can sew okay, but I'm more of an alterer. I can take things and alter them. So if it comes to like a dress, I can pretty much create. I'm pretty good with makeup and millinery with hats. But again, like you talk about something with armor and gadgets, that sort of thing, I do like to ask, or I'll get something and maybe modify it, or ask another artist friend or another creator. Say, hey, can you put this together for me? Because I really can't figure this out. I can get some things to like move anatomically, and add some lights, but once you get beyond like batteries and LED kind of things, then you kind of lose me. So I always appreciate someone else's knowledge. Like, I'd love for this to like fly around my hat. How could I do that? Those sort of things. Yeah.
So fun. Elle?
I would definitely buy it. I cannot sew to save my life. I can piece together pieces that I own, but when it comes to actually like creating something, I would much rather pay a talented seamstress artist to design something for me.
I know I could do like clothes, but like anything like fancy, like nope, I'm out. And the last one is like the guest said earlier, they were a steampunk Mad Hatter. Would you rather have a like original character where you like combine them, or just straight canon characters? Nicole?
Oh, I think it just depends if the character appeals to me. If it's going to be fun to be them for a little while, then like I love Queenie's probably going to be my next project, I think, because I just love her character. And I'm almost willing to do the wig, but I'm hoping I can do some magic with my hair so I don't have to wear the wig. But I just that's if the character seems to me like it's going to be fun to be them for a little while, then it doesn't matter to me really if it's canon or not. But I mean, sometimes those canon characters, they tend to be the most interactive with people, where they come up to you and they're like, oh, that's awesome. And if you can find a way to take something canon and put your own spin on it, then that's really fun. Like that's the ultimate, I think. But I don't know. So my characters from the armor were original, and so you kind of got to write my own script, but it got a little bit daunting because I was like, I have nothing to reference. Does this look okay?
It did. It looked awesome.
Thanks.
Victoria?
Yeah, I tend to go with the original, but now that I've been doing steampunk for a long time, I'm starting to see some really, really cool mashups. Steampunk Darth Vader or a steampunk Katniss. So you kind of go, oh, well, I'd love to steampunk that, but sometimes I just want to go back to the original. I love The Wizard of Oz, and I've been both, The Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda, and plus I love the musical Wicked, and that's from a book as well, which I enjoy. And so those originals, man, I just love doing the Wicked Witch. I know like all that green makeup can kind of be a pain, but once you get it on and you do it and you get into character, there's nothing like that old original. Yeah, I love that.
Awesome. Elle?
You know what? I totally believe in kind of making something that is wholly yours, but this is kind of going to lead into what our next question is, because there are some things that I believe that you should still stay true to. And like I said, I fully believe in having the character remain the character, but creating your own. Like, this is my version of Alyssa. It might not be Alyssa absolutely to the T, but I did stay true to some of the aspects of Alyssa. And before we go into the next question, do you have something to say on that, KM?
Oh, I've been listening to the game. It's like super fun. I always miss the games because I'm behind the scenes, but it's so much fun. I do love staying as close to canon as possible. I feel like if I'm doing a bookish cosplay, I do try to be as correct as possible. So when I was picking out my outfit today, I was trying to decide if I was going to be Katniss or if I was going to be America Singer from the Selection series. And I have all the right colored dresses for America, but the tops were just a little bit different than the ones on the covers, which is what I was going for. So I opted to go for Katniss because it was a little more canon correct for today's episode. So I jumped on that one. But I do kind of like putting my own spin on them as well. So there's a lot of different things that can go into these. Danielle is saying, I made a Dorothy costume a couple of years ago. It was so much fun, but even though it wasn't too hard to sew, I'd rather buy from someone who's more talented than me. She's also loving on Katniss's dresses, which are super fun. And if you are joining us, we would love to hear from you guys. Jump in there with your questions and your comments so we can get those answered while we are on air today. Because we're talking all about bookish cosplay. And if you're on our replay, we want to hear from you too. Jump into the questions or into the comments with your questions, and we'll get those answered over the next couple of days and weeks inside of the comments as well. And if you've got a question that is so dang good, but you aren't here to get it answered on air, we might just be able to convince these ladies to come back and answer them in a bonus video for you. So go ahead and drop your comments and questions down below. All right, we've got a lot going on today, and we want to hear all about your bookish cosplay. But Elle, you've got a great question that we're jumping into.
I do. So what are some important elements to focus on for bookish cosplay? Nicole?
I think maybe staying true to the spirit of the character, especially if it's one like Katniss, where she is so iconic. And what you're trying to capture is bigger than just, words on a page. It's become more than that. She's taken on a life of her own. So you really need to focus on capturing that essence of who she is. And I think for me, the devil's always in the details, and that's what really impresses me with some cosplay is when people will go in and just go the extra mile, and you're just like, whoa! It's like you see them from afar, and you're like, that's really cool, and then the closer you get, the more you're like, wow, and it's little stuff, that can really bring that cosplay, kick it up to the next level. And I keep thinking of when we went to Comic-Con in Seoul, there was so much cosplay. It was amazing. That was the first time my husband had ever been to a convention at all. It was he was a little bit like, oh my goodness. But there were a ton of people following my son around, and because he was Jack Frost for that, and the Dreamers people, but they were all like just touching, because I had gone in and hand painted the Frost on his outfit. I had painted it in white, then dry brushed in blue, then gone over it with glitter. It took hours, but it was one of those, you saw it from afar, you knew who he was, but the closer you got, the more you were like, there's so much detail, and he sparkles when he moves, and and so that was, to me, that was the most rewarding thing about that and watching them give him free candy and food because it's cute.
I would totally. Ooh.
That's a very good point.
Oh my goodness. Victoria, how about you?
I have to agree with that. It's you get finding that base emotion from those characters. What emotions do you feel when you read those books, and try and bring it to the costume? If you go back to even comic books, things like Harley Quinn, she's got that bubbly effervescence. And I did a mild cosplay of that before. And you can, with kids, especially if you do the younger, like the little more cartoony, safer version, they go nuts. They come up to you, and it's nothing like they come up and hug you. And I have a friend that does a lot of Harley Quinn cosplay, and she did. I forgot which version, but it's one of the really cute versions. And this little boy came up and just gave her the biggest hug. And I'm standing there going, this is amazing. And so she brought that warmth and sweetness, but still that really playfulness to the character. I mean, she could do cartwheels and stuff. I'm standing there going, this is amazing. I wish I could do cartwheels, but I was just the Joker standing there going and laughing and that sort of thing. But I think if you can bring some of that cool emotion that you get from the book with your cosplay, it'll show through, and it makes that character authentic and a lot of fun to play.
That's great. Cam, what about you?
I agree with all of this. Like, I feel like it really comes down to those little details and those emotions, because if you have those, people are automatically drawn to you and to your costume, or to the costume of your child, in Nicole's case. I think it's really, the more detail you can get into it, like the tiny little things when people get up close. Because it's one thing to see a cosplay from further away, but when you get up there and you see the chains and you see the specific necklace detail and you see the whatever, it really just enhances what you've seen from far away, and it makes all the difference.
It really does, and that's what I think too. I was saying before, the small things that, oh my gosh, like, ooh, look at, it's Morpheus in her hair. Like, oh my gosh, like, just like little tiny details that somebody might just go, whatever, I don't know what that is, but it means something to the character. This is a very important character in the book, and somebody might not know that, but I know that. And if you've read it, he's very important. Staying true to those little tiny things that really just make the character, and the emotion, as you ladies were saying, but also personality. The personality is really what makes or breaks your cosplaying. And personality doesn't have to necessarily be how you act. The personality is all in the outfit too. So that's something that I think everybody should remember that too. It's all in the outfit, in all what you bring to the outfit.
And speaking of all the things that you are bringing to the outfit, ladies, my question for you is, what is the best advice you have for creating a costume? So let's say people are jumping into the world of cosplay. What's the best advice you can give them? And while you're at it, I'm going to Comic-Con in just a couple of days, and I kind of want to wear a costume. So give me some advice, Victoria.
I would invest in a glue gun. That's my favorite. It's my favorite, most inexpensive tool. If you need to put something together quickly and it has to last just like one day, I would go with definitely a glue gun. If you want something to last, because I know people that are costumers that want things to bind really solidly, then I would go like they call it E6000 adhesive, and that works on like everything. It just know that I would give yourself plenty of time to plan. If you have a con coming up, like I know October is a really busy month for me, so I've already planned out all 3 costumes I'm wearing to 3 different events, and just line up to make sure I have all the pieces I need, and start looking. Because if you do anything, a con in October especially, you're already competing with all the amateur crowd. And it's not bad to be an amateur, it's like people dress up once a year compared to the people that dress up and go to cons or book events all year round. So just know that the field is going to be a little competitive for what you might be looking for, but start out and plan. That's get your materials together and get some space together. That's another good one. I don't have kids, but I've had pets. In things where I've been painting. I had a rabbit one time, and he would just sit at my feet. But if I did something on the floor, he'd get a little curious, and all of a sudden there'd be little paint prints all over the newspaper, that sort of thing. So plan time and space, and get your materials. And again, like I said, especially in October, where you're going to be competing against a lot of people looking for some of the same items, start now. Yeah.
That's awesome. Nicole, what advice do you have for us?
Well, definitely when you're going to a big con, especially if you're going to be moving around a lot, certain cosplays, you can, it's one thing to make one and be able to sit and pose, but when you're moving, stuff's going to happen. Somebody's going to bump into you. Take an emergency kit, have like a paint pen that matches the color of takes definitely super glue, stuff like that, just in case, Tide wipes, things that, an emergency repair kit, even a little stitching kit in case something comes up, something tears. If you're wearing stockings, take an extra pair. So that if something does if the unthinkable happens, you can at least fix it. You guys know those cons are super crowded. People are jostling you, and you never know what can happen. So definitely take an emergency repair kit. And I always like to take lots of water because especially when
Yeah.
you're wearing something that's heavy, that gets really hot. Stay hydrated. Don't pass out. It's not worth it.
I think that's our takeaway quote from this episode. Don't pass out. It's not worth it.
And when you're making it, like she said, have a plan. And give yourself enough time to troubleshoot in case something goes wrong. When I started making this armor, I had never made anything on this scale before, and I was trying out some new materials, and there was the great disaster of the chainmail, and I didn't have time to fix it. So we actually had to go to some events minus the chainmail, which was super disappointing. But it was because I didn't plan accordingly, and I thought I was like, I got this, and I definitely did not got this. So so just give yourself some time to troubleshoot it, and so that you're not caught there at the end, like having to leave pieces off because they're just not ready.
That makes sense. And we love getting fantastic advice. Guys, we are wrapping up our episode. So if you have any more questions or comments, now is a great time to drop those down below. But before we go, Amber has a rather fun question for us to answer. Amber, what you got for us?
What would people do to dress up as one of your characters from your books?
I'll jump in because then I'm going to pull Elle up. So let me do that first. So for me, I probably should have actually thought this through before I said we were asking this question. I have a ton of different characters. And so for me, one of the fun ones would be my Red Riding Hood story. She is a circus aerialist. So you could actually go with anything red that's kind of form-fitting because as she is dangling from her silks, she is actually not going to be able to wear like baggy dresses or her cape. So it does need to be a little more fitted. But anything that's red and sparkly would be perfect for my little Red Riding Hood in my circus aerialist story. Victoria, let's bounce over to you, and I'm going to pull Elle up so she can answer too.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I missed part of that question. It kind of bounced down on me. Can you repeat that for a quick second?
What would
Did anybody
people
catch that?
do
I'm
to
sorry.
dress up as one of the characters from your books?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch the question, guys. I'm sorry. You want to bounce to somebody else for a quick second?
Nicole?
Well, so I've got, I mostly write in fantasy, and I would absolutely love to see somebody take on one of the gray elf, namely the gray elf princess from the series, because she is so fierce, but she's kind of like a poisonous flower. She's beautiful, but she's dangerous, and but their clothing, it's going to be an extensive amount of sewing, which y'all know I can't do. And I would love to see a seamstress come in and really make that her own. There's some descriptions, obviously, of the style of clothing that she wears. And all I could think of while I was watching the new Aladdin was, man, that looks exactly like something a Roxy would wear. And so, but she would also be carrying scimitars or using a bow and arrow at the same time. And so I was like, man, I would just really love for someone to come in and do that cosplay and really make it their own and blow me away with it. Because you can play with the colors and the raw cut stones and the natural elements that you expect with elves, but adding in that twist and go for it, Sarah. Take lots of pictures. And prosthetic ears, I've only done prosthetic ears once, but those are also, when you have long hair, they're kind of like, yeah, you got to carefully peel the hair away from them because they get stuck in the glue. So that's another area that's, I kind of don't mess with a lot, but I would love to see that. And then the main character, Javid, who's in all three of my Dragon Rider series, I was really torn over making his costume as the Dragon Rider originally, but he wears a wig. He has the prosthetic ears, and my husband was like I'll wear the armor. That's it. No makeup. I was like,
I'm drawing the line.
It's funny how it transforms you, and I love this about cosplay. He was so, like, as I'm wrapping him in saran wrap to begin the patterning for the armor, he's like, this is just, I can't. But then as soon as the finished product, he puts it on, he goes in the bathroom, and he's like, so cool. Like, it changes you. You got to see himself, and he's like, and the model that he's a friend of ours that posed in those pictures in it, as soon as you put it on, those guys, they just become a different person. They walk around, they're like, I'm a knight. I think like girls want to dress, and some girls want to dress in the princess and be the princess. Every dude secretly wants to be in the knight armor.
They do. They just don't want to admit that they do.
But it was fun to watch that transformation happen.
I love it. Victoria, you're back.
Oh yeah. Well, I would love to, and I would love to see is I have a character called Madam K. She's a librarian, and she's got this mechanical leg, and she's kind of like this mashup steampunk. I would love to see somebody do that. I don't know if I could do it myself, but to get like some wiring and lights, and so she would daintily lift up her skirt and like, oh wow, she's got this robotic leg, so
Cool.
she can do some pretty amazing things with it. But I would love to see somebody do that. You see a lot of arms in like steampunk cosplay, but you don't see a lot of legs. I'd love to see somebody do that. Yeah,
My
and
mind
this
is
character,
so cool.
To do that,
yeah,
because it's very similar to doing leg armor, and I'm like, I could do that.
yeah.
Elle, how about you?
So I'm just going to pick one of my characters, and I would pick Nicholas von Brandt. He is my big bad wolf, and he's an assassin. So he usually dresses in all black. It'd be kind of similar to super easy, super cheap, guys. Dressed in all black pants, black tight shirt, knives hidden in compartments, black boots, and he always wears a half mask to cover his face. And if you wanted to add something cutesy to it, he is a werewolf. So you could always get like little wolf ears, like a headband, and put those on. And he also is really good at archery, and it has something to do with the story too. So you could always like sling, have like your quiver on your back or something like that. Super easy cosplay for you guys to do.
I love that. Easy is the way to go.
And cheap.
And you could wear it for other stuff too.
That's a very good point. Oh, we've lost Victoria. Hold on. Bring her back up. I definitely should have. I wasn't thinking when I gave mine. I have a hacker, Little Miss Muffet. She's wearing a plaid hot pink skirt with a hot pink and black top and pigtails and dyed hair and like all sorts of techie stuff. So just shout out to that one too. I actually have pictures of me cosplaying her, but not where I could get them. So if you go back in my social media, guys, you can find her. But Amber, how about you? What would people do to cosplay your characters? We've lost her again.
I want somebody to cosplay Kale, but there's also Sandman. Sandman would be easy. It's just like a long sleeve black shirt with like a black vest that's got a hood. And he wears, black pants, black boots. So that would be all easy with a little, pouch for a sand around his neck. And some like violet sparkly contacts would be cool. But no, Kale is my favorite. And more elaborate. He's got like a trench coat on with like this embroidery going on. And he's got a half mask. It's kind of like a plague mask. But not a plague mask. And I don't know, I just think it'd be really cool to do, and I want somebody to do it. So.
That's awesome. I love it. All right. We have had so much fun talking all about Bookish Cosplay today, but we are at the top of our hour, and we need to say goodbye, which is so sad because we're having so much fun. But before we do, we want to hear a little bit more about your books. So Nicole, jump in and tell us about the things that you write.
I predominantly write teen and upper middle grade fantasy, emphasis on the dragons, magical explosions, and cute boys. I do love writing battles and stuff. So I'm best known for the Dragon Rider series, and there's 3. I'm super excited because the 3rd series starts this spring, and that'll be the Dragon Rider Trials. But it's like epic battles. I was raised on Lord of the Rings. I love that kind of stuff. And so if you like strong heroic main characters, little court intrigue sprinkled in, and of course dragons are like cheese, they make everything better. So those out. And I do have an older gunslinging modern rogue fairy hunters type series that called Mad Magic. That's the second book's also coming soon. So those are two you might want to check out.
Fantastic. And where can everybody find you on social media?
So my author website has all of my links on it. So if you can't find me anywhere else, go to my website and you'll find all my links. It's authornicoleconway.com. I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle is A.N. Conway. I'm very active on Pinterest, but don't follow me for recipes because all you're going to get is Dragon Age fan fictions and all that. and pictures of knights. So
Sounds like a good Pinterest.
yeah, don't recipes because that's not what you can get. But there, I believe I'm A.N. Conway as well, and same for Instagram. I'm very active on Instagram, and A.N. Conway there too, and then of course the Facebook. On the Facebook.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate you being here and sharing your fabulous photos and advice. We cannot wait to have you back. Any last thoughts on cosplay that you want to share to our fans before you go?
Just have fun with it, guys. Cosplay's for everybody. And don't be afraid to do something just because it's a little more unconventional, or if you don't feel like you look exactly like that character. It's not about that. It's about making that emotional connection. So have fun with it, make it yours, and definitely show us pictures.
Yeah, drop all the pictures in the comments, guys. We want to see it. Thanks so much, Nicole, for joining us. We will see you again soon.
Bye. Thanks for having
me. Victoria, tell us just a little bit more about your stories.
So I do mostly steampunk. I currently have A Dream of Emerald Skies out. It is steampunk with a little twist of The Wizard of Oz, and it's my first young adult series. So I have a wonderful character, Livy Glenn, who is a detective in an underground city called Emerald Skies. So I'd love for you to pick that up. Right now, it's in an Amazon competition. But I'm running my scope, so I'm going to be on multiple platforms by the end of November or early next year. And I'd like to tell people always go to my blog because all my social media links are there in one spot. Because I'm on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, Pinterest. Oh gosh, I was on Reddit for a hot minute. Probably going to join TikTok. So I'm on a bunch of different places. But my blog is mysteampunkproject.wordpress.com. And so I blog about 2-3 times a week. And from there, you can get like all my information. All my social media listings are at the bottom. It's usually under the SP Countess, but occasionally Countess has been taken a lot. So feel free to, log into that blog and scroll down at the bottom. My links are always there.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Any last minute advice to our people?
I would say don't be shy. I mean, you're going to get there and you're going to be like, wow, there's so many people that are dressed up that just look so much better. Don't worry about it. Go out there, have fun, relax. People really appreciate it when you come and just even try and make an effort. Even if you put a little headband on with some ears or a nose or just even like a scarf or something, or even a T-shirt that follows a fandom, people enjoy that, and they see that you're trying to make an effort and at least participate in some fashion. So it always makes it fun.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Victoria, for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. We can't wait to see you back.
Bye. Thanks for having.
All right. If you are loving today's episode of Young Adult Edition, we've got more goodness coming for you over the next couple of weeks. Just not next week. We are on break next week. Because, guys, I'm going to be in New York at Comic-Con signing books. So the following Monday, join us. We've got some really cool stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks and months throughout the rest of 2019. We've got some incredible guests we know you guys are not going to want to miss. So every single Monday, aside from next Monday, join us right here on Facebook.com/KMRobinsonBooks. That is the wrong link. Sorry, guys. Books. Let's see if it updates. Yes. All right. Okay, every single Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Come join us right here, facebook.com/KMRobinsonBooks for all of the fun. And if you are an author who would love to join us, or you are a fan who has an author who should totally be here on today's show, we want you to jump in the comments and let us know who that author is. So make sure you tag them, but then tell us why they should be on the show so that they know why you've tagged them. It's not just a random tag. And we know why we should be contacting this author to have them on our episodes of Young Adult Edition. And if you are an author, DM me. We'll see what we can do to work you into our schedule, because we are having all the fun here at Young Adult Edition every single Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Before we go, ladies, let's let everybody know where they can find you. Elle.
You can find me at Elle Beaumont Books on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me on Twitter, which is Elle Beaumont. You can always find me on my website, which is ellebeaumontbooks.com. I don't know if I said that already. It's a Monday.
It is Monday.
And you can find me on YouTube, which is Elle Beaumont, for some behind the scenes, unboxings, and all that kind of fun stuff.
Fabulous. Amber, where can everybody find you?
My website is amberrduel.com. I'm on Twitter, amberr_duel, Instagram, amberrduel, and Facebook, author amberrduel.
Fantastic. And before we get to my links, I have a little treat for us today. For those of you watching and joining us, whether you're on the replay or the live, we want you to right now grab your phones and snap a little snapshot of us and put it out on Instagram and tag us for Bookish Cosplay. Ladies, I want you to pose. Ready? Okay, tag us out on Instagram and Facebook. Let everybody know that you were watching today's episode, and then come join us in 2 weeks for a brand new episode of Young Adult Edition. And as always, you can come hang out with me at kmrobinsonbooks.com, where I've just opened up brand new world portals. Guys, there's some really cool stuff that I'm still building out, but we launched some brand new stuff right before Comic-Con. So we're really excited for you to come join us over at kmrobinsonbooks.com. And of course, you can hit me up at kmrobinsonbooks on all the social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, IGTV, and especially YouTube, where I've got some extra cool bonuses for you guys coming up this week, both on Instagram TV, IGTV, and on YouTube. So stay tuned. We can't wait to hear from you. Thanks so much for joining us for Bookish Cosplay. We will see you again in 2 weeks for a brand new episode of Young Adult Edition. Until then, have a fantastic day and stay inspired. Bye-bye.